If you're watching this in a web browser, you're actually using it right now. It's the language that makes the modern web tick, that makes it all come alive. But its origin story, well, it's one of the most chaotic, unbelievable, and just fascinating tales in all of tech. So let's get into it. Let's dive into the incredible saga of JavaScript.
All right, let me ask you a question. How long do you think it would take to create the first version of a language that would, one day, pretty much run the entire internet? A year? Maybe 2? Nope. Try 10 days. That's it, 10 absolutely frantic days back in May of 1995 that somehow laid the groundwork for, well, everything.
So let's set the scene. We gotta go back to the mid-90s. The web was, well, it was mostly a bunch of static pages. Kind of boring, right? But the browser that was king at the time, Netscape Navigator, had this huge vision for something way more interactive, way more dynamic. And the mission they gave to this one developer, a guy named Brendan Eich, was actually pretty simple. They didn't want some huge, complicated, heavy-duty programming language, not at all. They wanted something they called Glue, just a lightweight little language that could stick web page components together. Something simple enough that designers and hobbyists, not just the hardcore programmers, could use to sprinkle a little magic onto their sites. And this is where things just get kind of wild. Look at the speed of this. In just a little over 6 months, the language goes from that 10-day prototype called Mocha to a quick name change to LiveScript, and then, finally, to the name we all know and love, JavaScript. And oh boy, that last name change? Well, that's a story all by itself. Yeah, this brings us to what I like to call the great naming heist. It's one of the most brilliant and frankly most confusing marketing decisions in the history of software. I mean, why would you call it JavaScript when it has absolutely nothing to do with the language Java? Well, the answer comes down to one simple word: hype. See, back in 1995, Java was the hottest thing going. It was the rock star of programming. So by renaming LiveScript to JavaScript, Netscape was basically trying to ride its coattails. They were hoping everyone would think their little scripting language was Java's cool younger sibling. But here's the thing. Technically, they were complete opposites, total strangers. Java was compiled. You'd write the code, run it through a compiler, and then run the result. JavaScript was interpreted. The browser just reads it line by line. They were built on fundamentally different philosophies from the ground up. There's a classic saying in the programming world that just hits the nail on the head. Java is to JavaScript as car is to carpet. The names sound kind of similar, but that's where the relationship ends. One gets you from point A to point B, and the other, well, it's on the floor. So that name, it might have been a clever marketing trick, but it also painted a giant target on JavaScript's back. Because as Netscape's biggest rival, Microsoft, jumped into the game with Internet Explorer, the first great war for the web was about to begin. Microsoft immediately saw the power of JavaScript and decided they wanted a piece of the action. So what did they do? They basically copied it, reverse engineered it, and called their version JScript. The result for developers? Pure, absolute chaos. Imagine spending weeks building a website that worked perfectly in Netscape, only to open it in Internet Explorer and find it completely, utterly broken. It was a nightmare.
The web was literally on the verge of tearing itself apart. So, to save it, Netscape did something smart. They took their language to a neutral third party, a standards body called ECMA International. The idea was to create a single, official rulebook, a standard that all browsers would have to follow. No more making up their own rules.
And this brings us to a super important point that trips a lot of people up. The official name of that standard is actually ECMAScript. So when you hear developers talking about ES6 or ES Next, they're talking about new versions of that standard. The thing running in your browser, the thing we all call JavaScript, is really just the most famous implementation of the ECMAScript standard. Okay, so with a standard in place, JavaScript survived the browser wars. But for years, it was still kind of seen as a toy. A cute little language for making snowflakes fall on a web page. But then, 2 massive breakthroughs happened that would transform this humble little script into a performance superhero. The first game changer was Google's V8 engine, which launched with the Chrome browser back in 2008. V8 introduced something called just-in-time or JIT compilation. Instead of just slowly interpreting the code, V8 would compile it into lightning-fast machine code right as it was needed. And just like that, JavaScript wasn't slow anymore. In fact, it was incredibly fast. And then, the very next year, a developer named Ryan Dahl had this absolutely brilliant idea.
He thought, hey, what if we took that super fast V8 engine and just ripped it out of the browser? And the result was Node.js. For the very first time, you could use JavaScript to write the code that runs on your servers. This was revolutionary. It meant one language could now build an entire application, from the buttons you see on the screen to the database humming away in a data center.
And that combination of raw speed and incredible versatility, well, that's what set the stage for total world domination. The little glue language that was born in 10 days was now the undisputed king of the modern web.
I mean, just look at this. It really gives you a sense of how far JavaScript has come. Today, it runs literally everywhere. It's on the front end with frameworks like React and Vue. It's on the back end with Node.js. It builds native mobile apps with React Native. And it even powers the desktop apps you use every day, like Discord and VS Code, through a tool called Electron. It is truly a universal language.
And the numbers don't lie. Year after year, the biggest surveys for developers, from sites like Stack Overflow and GitHub, all say the exact same thing. More people on this planet are writing code in JavaScript than in any other programming language, period.
So, after this absolutely wild journey from a 10-day prototype all the way to global domination, what's the final verdict? Is JavaScript the perfect language? Not even close. Like any tool, it's got its pros, and it's definitely got its cons.
Its biggest pros are for sure its accessibility and its enormous community. It's pretty easy to get started, and you can use it for the whole shebang, front end and back end. But that flexibility, what developers call weak typing, can really bite you. It lets you be a little sloppy with your data, which can lead to some really nasty bugs in big projects. And while it's super fast for the web, it's not really the go-to choice for things that need every last drop of performance, like high-end video games.
So when you really think about it, a language that was rushed into existence to survive a corporate browser war now runs on pretty much every device we own. It's even been used in space applications at NASA. It has been an unbelievable journey, which really just leaves us with one final fascinating question. What world will JavaScript build next?